From passing challenges to blowing accounts, the psychology behind it. So you did it. You passed the challenge. You found that aggressive focus, hit the target, and proved you had the skill. But the moment you went live, everything changed. Real money entered the picture, and suddenly the same fire that got you funded started burning your account to the ground. And now you're left asking one painful question. How did my greatest strength become my biggest weakness? If that's you, this video is for you. Today, we're not talking about indicators, secret entries, or strategies. We're talking about the psychological shift that happens when a trader moves from passing a prop firm challenge to managing a funded account, and why so many traders fail to make that shift. Because the truth is simple. Passing a challenge and keeping a funded account are two different psychological games. A challenge rewards urgency. A funded account rewards control. A challenge pushes you to hunt. A funded account forces you to protect. And if you bring the wrong mindset into the wrong environment, the market will expose it. The challenge warrior. A challenge trading gives you one clear mission. Hit the profit target. Stay inside the drawdown rules. Get funded. That structure creates urgency. It gives you a target, a clock, and a finish line. And without realizing it, it shapes your identity. It turns you into what I call the challenge warrior. The challenge warrior is wired for speed, aggression, and action. He knows the clock is ticking, so he attacks every decent setup. He trades more, pushes harder, and keeps his foot on the gas because the challenge rewards momentum. And the dangerous part is, it works. That aggressive focus can absolutely get you funded. It can help you pass quickly, especially if market conditions are good and your execution is sharp. But then you get funded. And suddenly, the environment changes. The target is gone, the clock goes silent, the mission is over. Now you're no longer trying to hit a finish line, you're trying to survive, consistent, and manage capital over time. But the warrior inside you doesn't know how to do that. It only knows one thing: attack. So you keep pushing, you keep the same tempo, you keep taking too many trades. You keep looking for action even when the market doesn't deserve it. And without a clear target to direct that aggression, it spills everywhere. You start forcing mediocre setups. You confuse activity with progress. You trade not because the opportunity is great, but because doing nothing feels uncomfortable. That's how accounts begin to bleed. Not because you suddenly lost your edge, but because you brought the wrong identity into the wrong phase of the journey. The challenge warrior may help you pass, but if he stays in control once you're funded, he becomes a threat.
Shift 1. From warrior to capital protector. Once you're funded, your job is no longer to attack a target. Your job is to protect capital. That's the first major psychological shift. Prop firms are not looking for heroes who swing for the fences every day. They're looking for traders who can manage risk, stay consistent, and survive long enough to produce steady returns. That means the trader who lasts is not the most aggressive one, it's the most disciplined one. So the first thing you need to do is slow down your tempo. If you were taking 8 trades a day during the challenge, cut it down. If you were constantly looking for action, stop. If you feel the urge to trade just because you're sitting at the screen, recognize that for what it is: challenge conditioning. Your first mission on a funded account is not to make money fast. It's to stop leaking money through unnecessary decisions. That means asking a different question. Not, how can I make money today? But, how can I protect my capital today? That shift changes everything. Because once capital protection becomes the priority, selectivity improves. You stop treating every setup like an opportunity you have to take. You start filtering harder. You stop measuring productivity by how active you were, and start measuring it by how clean your decisions were. And this matters most when you lose. Because one of the most destructive habits traders carry from challenges into funded accounts is revenge trading. After a loss, the challenge warrior wants action. He wants to win it back immediately. He wants to erase the pain and restore control. That urge comes from loss aversion, the fact that losses hurt far more than wins feel good. So instead of accepting the loss, the trader tries to repair the emotion with another trade. That's where discipline breaks. The next setup doesn't need to be good, it just needs to feel like relief. And that's how one manageable loss turns into a serious drawdown. If you want to become a capital protector, you need a non-negotiable rule. After an emotional loss, you step away. You stop trading for the day, or at least long enough to reset completely. Then you come back later and ask one honest question. Was that a good trade that simply didn't work? Or was it a bad trade driven by emotion? That question matters because funded trading is not about avoiding every loss. It's about avoiding stupid losses. Losses are part of the game. Emotional losses are the ones that destroy accounts. So your new mindset becomes simple. Survive first, thrive later. Shift 2. Taming fear and greed. The second you go live, the emotional game changes. In a challenge, the rules create structure. There's a target, a framework, a sense of direction. But once you're funded, that structure becomes weaker and your emotions become louder. The first emotion that usually shows up is fear. Real money changes the weight of everything. Every trade feels heavier. Every drawdown feels more personal. Every loss feels like a threat not just to your account, but to the opportunity you worked hard to earn. So instead of seeing opportunity, you start seeing danger. You hesitate on setups you would have taken confidently during the challenge. You second-guess your entries. You get into a good trade, see a little profit, and close it too early because you're terrified of giving it back. This is how fear quietly damages performance. Not with one dramatic mistake, but with hesitation, overmanagement, and the inability to trust your own process. But fear is only one side of the pendulum. After a few wins, the pendulum swings the other way. Now comes greed. A few good trades and suddenly you feel unstoppable. You feel like you've cracked the code. You start increasing your size, holding longer than your plan allows, or bending your rules because you think you're in sync with the market. And this gets even worse when you're close to a payout. Once the money feels near, discipline becomes fragile. You start thinking like someone sprinting toward a finish line. You force trades, you overmanage. You abandon the process because you're obsessed with locking in the reward. That's the trap. Fear makes you hesitate. Greed makes you overreach. And both of them pull you away from clean execution. So how do you control the pendulum? With risk management. Not motivational risk management, not vague advice, real, mechanical, boring risk management. Your risk per trade should be small enough that no single trade can emotionally destabilize you. For most funded traders, that means keeping risk somewhere between 0.25% and 1% per trade. Why does that matter? Because when risk is small, one trade stops feeling like life or death. A loss doesn't crush you. A win doesn't intoxicate you. You stay emotionally neutral enough to focus on process instead of outcome. And that is the real goal. Your job is not to prove that you're right. Your job is to manage risk so you can still be in the game tomorrow. Because in funded trading, longevity beats intensity every single time.
Shift 3. Radical self-awareness. This last shift might be the most important because it's the one most traders avoid. The journey from passing a challenge to blowing an account is lonely. When you fail, most people around you don't really understand what happened. They don't understand the pressure, the emotional swings, or the frustration of knowing that you broke your own rules and paid for it. And that isolation creates the perfect environment for a dangerous trap. Self-serving bias. Self-serving bias is simple. When you win, you tell yourself it's because you're skilled. When you lose, you tell yourself it's because of bad luck, market manipulation, or weird conditions. You passed because you're talented. You blew the account because the market was choppy. Sound familiar? The problem with this mindset is that it protects your ego while destroying your growth. Because the moment you blame everything outside of you, you remove your power to fix what's happening inside of you. And here's the truth. The market is neutral. It is not attacking you. It is not punishing you personally. It is simply revealing you. It reveals your impatience, your greed, your fear, your need to be right, your inability to sit still, your habit of forcing action when emotion takes over. That's why self-awareness is not optional in trading. And the best tool for building it is a journal. But not just a journal of entries and exits, an emotional journal. Before every trade, ask yourself, why am I taking this trade? Does it truly fit my plan? Or am I bored, anxious, frustrated, or trying to make back a loss? Then after the trade, write down how you felt. Were you calm? Were you angry? Were you greedy? Were you desperate to get back in? Do this consistently and your patterns will start to expose themselves. You'll notice that your worst losses didn't come from a bad strategy. They came from emotional moments, from tilt, from frustration, from overconfidence, from boredom, from the inability to do nothing. That is the moment trading becomes deeper than money. It becomes a process of self-mastery. You realize that the market isn't just testing your strategy, it's testing your habits, your patience, your ego, your emotional control. And once you see that clearly, every blown account becomes something different. Not a final verdict on your ability, but feedback. Painful feedback, yes. Expensive feedback, definitely. But feedback that shows you exactly where your discipline breaks under pressure. And once you know where the cracks are, you can finally start fixing them. The move from a challenge to a funded account is not really a test of strategy. It's a test of character. It forces you to evolve from an aggressive warrior into a disciplined protector. It forces you to control fear and greed through strict risk management. And it forces you to stop blaming the market and start taking full ownership of your mental game. When you make those shifts, everything changes. You stop treating funded trading like a race. You stop measuring success by how active you were. You stop letting emotion control execution. You stop using the market to repair your mood or prove your worth. And most importantly, you stop repeating the same cycle. Because the trader who survives long-term is not the trader with the most aggression. It's the trader with the most self-control. The one who can slow down when necessary. Walk away after emotional losses. Stay humble after wins. Respect risk when greed gets loud. And remain patient when the market gives him nothing worth taking. That is what funded trading really demands. Not brilliance, maturity. So if you've passed challenges but keep losing funded accounts, don't just ask what strategy you need next. Ask a better question. What identity am I still trading from? Am I still the warrior chasing a target, or have I become the protector responsible for capital? Because the answer to that question may determine whether you keep repeating the cycle or finally break it. Thanks for watching, and trade with discipline.